All right, so we're back here. We have a really exciting day. This has been like one of the highlights of content creation for me so far. Today we are joined by SRA and Ms. Phillip, Mr. Lavis. They're humanities students, 11th graders, are joined with our 8th graders, some students from Content Creation Blue, some students from Content Creation Silver, and we are doing a podcast where we're just kind of simply thinking about what does it mean to move forward? The things that maybe we were nervous about, the things that maybe we find out we weren't as nervous about, or things that maybe we were nervous about that really aren't things that we should put that much energy into. But today we're going to talk about whatever. And these girls don't need me. They're ready to rock. They're here, and they're a group that came together. Some of them just met today, and they're going to have a conversation. What does it mean to go from middle school to high school? What's it mean to get ready to move on from high school to the next thing? And how does that all kind of come together? So without further ado, I'm going to pass it along to High School 101.
On this first episode of High School 101, it's a deep dive on what to expect in high school. It's going to be really interesting, so hang on tight. Hey everyone, welcome to High School 101. I'm Gloria, and with me today is Avalin.
Hi.
Savannah.
Hi.
And Gio.
Hi.
And Maanya.
Hi.
We're doing a special podcast today where we are working together with SRA and the HMS Content Creation Podcast class on a special podcast project. Some of us are going to graduate 8th grade this year and going off to high school. And some of us are going to graduate high school next year as we make our way into 12th grade. We are going to have a discussion about the things that maybe we fear or are nervous, and maybe there are things that we put too much stress into. So first off, we have some questions that all of us will, I guess, take turns answering, kind of like an icebreaker. So the first question is, what are your favorite memories of middle school?
I think my favorite memory of middle school was probably like the first day because it was so like new and I felt so much more mature. And like the new classes and having classes like every other like periods and like starting to like have letter grades and have that sort of new maturity level brought a lot of joy to me. And I met so many all like different types of people from other middle school, other elementary schools. So I thought that was really like cool, and I met like a lot of like cool friendships, and it was great.
I feel like going into middle school is like really exciting, especially since there's like now periods and stuff like that, like class periods and stuff, and there's like you get to walk to different classes and like you get your own locker and stuff, and you also get to like meet new people from other schools that you like haven't known about.
For sure, yeah, that's what I feel.
Describe your best day or experience in middle school.
My best like day in middle school was probably like again like the first day, because I met so many like different people from like different elementary schools like I didn't even know about, and it broadened my social horizon so much, and it made me feel like honestly I didn't even feel like any nervousness going into middle school, which is crazy because like it's so much different than going into high school because I felt so much more nervous then. But it was really cool because I met a lot of different people, and it was exciting.
What advice would you give to your middle school self?
I think like a piece of advice I would give to my middle school self is like, don't put like an overwhelming amount of efforts in like friendships, because if people want to be friends with you, they're gonna be friends with you. Like you don't have to go above and beyond for a friendship, and don't ever, because you don't need that. If you're going above and beyond, like that means they probably really don't want to be your friend, like and be your friend, and that's okay. Like it's hard to understand that like now probably, but I'm telling you like later on in life I'm kind of glad that I didn't like I did sometimes put an overwhelming effort, and it like kind of slapped me in the face sometimes because it made me feel worse that they're not being my friend. But I met so many cool people by just being myself and not putting a lot of effort.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like for friendships in general, and like not even just in middle school, if like they don't want to be friends with you, or if they don't feel like being your friend, then they're not worth being your friend. And if you keep trying to be friends with them, they're just gonna think about you worse, and then you're just gonna start like making things a bigger deal. Just be the bigger person and act more mature. Try and like sort it out with them. And if they don't want to sort it out, or if they want to keep making more drama and talking to other people about you and stuff like that, then just let them be, because they're not ready, and you just like know yourself, you're more mature than them.
Definitely. And maturity plays a big level in friendships. You can't be friends with someone if they have a different maturity level than you.
Yeah.
And I've learned that the hard way a lot, and that's led to a lot of like mishaps in friendships, and that's normal.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like okay, like one fight here and there with your friends is normal, but when you have different maturity levels and you want different things, then it's hard to be friends with someone. And I like have always been a little bit more mature. Even in middle school, like I always cared about my academics, like you said. Like I really pushed myself academically because I wanted to make something of myself. And I've had like a really like passion of like the medical field for a long time. So I always knew like I really need to do well in school, and sometimes like doing well in school is such a good distraction from like the rest of your life. And when you're having a hard time socially, sometimes turning to academics in a healthy way is more reliable. I'm not saying not to make friends, but friends will come to you when you start feeling a little better about yourself.
Like, I feel like that is one thing that I would change about myself, like if I could give advice to the younger me. Also, because as you grow older, you start gaining more friends and losing more friends, and it like makes you kind of realize that friends are made to like come and go, and only like real friends will like stick with you. But sometimes like friends are like kind of just there to like have fun, I guess. And like if they're making you stress, and if they're not making you be the best version of you, then those are friends that you shouldn't want. I think that's especially something that I would like consider more, like if I could, because in middle school, after middle school, when you get to high school, you meet more people, you get more chances for experiences.
Definitely, and also I can attest to that. I've met so many new people, I've met so many more new people in high school than I did in middle school, even though it was such a broadening of like a social horizon in like middle school. High school, like I met like even different people from like that were older than me. So like I've met so many people that are older than me and more mature, so I was able to build a more connection with them than compared to people my age.
Yeah.
What are the things that you thought that were important when you were younger, but they aren't as important now that you are older?
I think having a lot of friends. In middle school, I had a big group of friends in middle school. I'm not gonna lie, and I still but even like my friend, I don't have a friend group anymore. If that makes sense, I have friends like from different I have different friends that just like I'm not in a whole group with them now. I've met people in like my math class, like my science class, and those people are different, and I like learn different things with them. And now like I'm really content with the amount of friends that I have. I feel much more happier, and having a big friend group was a little overwhelming at times. So I really recommend to not have tons and tons of friends because it's hard to manage, but that's just my opinion.
Do you have any regrets during your high school years?
Uh, yeah, I do. I think I wish I did more. I was more involved in Herricks, I feel. I wasn't as involved. I mean I am sometimes, but I'm not as involved with Herricks Pride in high school. So I wish I would go back and try to be, but I'm pretty happy where I am in high school and my career in high school. So I guess that's one thing maybe I could go back and change.
Adding back to the things you thought that were more important when you're younger, I would also say, since I'm almost graduating middle school now, don't try and be friends with every single person when you're in middle school, because you'll have more chances to talk to them in high school.
And also, I'm not saying don't have a lot of friends. If you can and you're happy with it, then do it. I want you to be happy.
Yeah.
but I'm just saying that it gets a little overwhelming, and I feel like you get to know someone better when you don't have so many people surrounding you. And it's really important to like get to know someone really well, because then those friendships last even outside of high school.
Yeah.
And with any friendship, you should try to have in the back of your head, okay, this might last.
Yeah.
Certain people, okay, like this is like a friend that you met in your math class and you just talk to here and there about like math or whatever.
Yeah.
But like you should always try to push yourself and make a friendship last, and you're gonna get to know someone better when you don't have so much overwhelming factors around you. But yeah.
Okay, so we have a lot to discuss because high school is very overwhelming, and I feel like this is going to help us with like a lot of advice and stuff. So I guess we're just going to be like, this is kind of going to be like Q&A style, and then we're going to start talking about like the future, like college and stuff. Yeah. All right, so we all know that high school is definitely going to be stressful, including like academics, clubs, college, and stuff like that. What are like some things you enjoy about high school?
Some things that I enjoy about high school is the independence you have. You make your own rules in the sense like you figure out when you have to study, you figure out when you have to go to class, you have to figure out. You're more independent in high school than you are in middle school, because in high school you're almost at the age of adulthood, and that's really important. So that's one thing I enjoy. Like, not everybody's around like telling me what to do 24/7. Of course there's rules, but I feel so much more independent. And also one thing I also enjoy about high school is like you get to learn. Like, I love learning. Like, not like, school gets difficult though, but it is really important to learn. And with people from all these different types of like teachers, like they have so many different backgrounds, you even learn things that like aren't even in the class like criteria. Like, you're in your math class, but you're learning a little bit about like English with your teacher, and they're talking about their tidbits that helps you apply to your lesson. Like, I feel like it's so important because teachers are a little bit more comfortable around you in high school, so they let you know like real talk, and they'll actually talk to you, and like they'll give you advice. And when you go to high school, you have a new sense of maturity. And also in high school, you can do so much more than you did in middle school. With my like friends, I like go to the city sometimes. Like, it's more freedom. Like, you get that sense of freedom, and like it's just like it's a little bit more fun. You have a little bit of more lighthearted jokes. And like in high school, you have so much more freedom.
Yeah.
So you can even transition that into your real life. It's just a little better, and I feel like the independence that high school's brought me has helped me a lot with my maturity and my time management skills. And I feel like so good about my time management skills that I'm not even worried about college, because high school really prepares you for that.
What are some electives or like clubs that will look good in your high school transcript?
So I can't really pinpoint for you, but I can say that whatever career you're going for, look at the list that the high school provides you for courses, and look at what courses align with your career. I know it's a little early, it's still like 8th grade, but just start looking for what you want after high school. Like, for me, I always liked science, and so that transitioned to medical field for me, and that led me to choose like nursing. So I've been really focusing on that, and then with electives with that, I've been doing a lot of human systems, like biology, like all that stuff, like a lot of like biology related electives. So whatever career you're going for, an elective will be there for you at the high school.
What's the most important thing about high school other than building a relationship with your teachers?
Another important thing about high school is that it's like, I don't want to base all the importance on friendships, but it is important to have like a couple of friends in your classes. And I'm not even saying you have to be the bestest of friends with your class and like everybody in your class, but you should have one or two people in every class that you can like ask for homework help or ask what's on like the test. Like, there should be someone in every class that you can say hello to and feel comfortable with, if that makes sense.
I also think it's important to like, you don't have to be the bestest friends, and you don't even have to be like good friends. You could just be regular friends, but it's good to like have that like someone you feel comfortable around or like talk to, because let's just say you go on vacation or you get sick. you don't know what the homework is, right? Yeah, the teacher posts everything on Google Classroom, but you can also like text your friend and be like, oh, hey, I wasn't here today. Like, do you know what we learned? Can you explain this to me? Yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, and definitely teachers will post on the Google Classroom, but having a friend there, like you said, is so much more helpful because they can explain you the topic. Looking at the notes, anybody can look at the notes and read the notes, but it's all about understanding. And I know this is like not your question, but understanding is so much. You have to understand your notes in order to do well in the class. Anybody can read the notes, but it's all about actually applying your knowledge by using the notes.
In your opinion, are honor classes stressful for you?
Yes and no. I'm gonna say like for my no reason is because I've learned to be really good with time management, so that helps me a lot. And also I also like talk to my teachers when I'm feeling like, oh, I don't understand this. Like, can you help me? Like I'm at very like I have like a good like relationship with my teachers, so I'm able to go up to them and ask them for help. And it is sometimes easy because I'm also like academically I'm very like I know what works for me. So I take notes in a certain style and I add little little notes on top of my notes. Like let's say your teacher's putting a presentation up, you're copying down, and let's say the teacher adds a certain thing, I add it to my notes so it helps me like, oh, this is how I understand it better. So yes and no. Like of course the material in honors classes are difficult and that's what it's meant to do, like to be a little bit more jogging in your brain. But it's definitely important to not stress yourself out if you're not getting something because you're not perfect. So it's a hard pill to swallow, but I really recommend talking to your teachers about it and eventually you'll get it, like somehow.
Yeah, like based on what you said, I also do think talking to like adults and stuff could also benefit because let's say your friend doesn't understand it and let's just say she or he randomly explains it to you without even like themselves having like a clear understanding themselves, then that could also affect you. And I wouldn't for me another important like category in high school I guess is like friendship and stuff. But whenever you're having friendship issues, don't rely on your other friends. Talk to like counselors, adults, like social workers because and you shouldn't like talking to social workers I feel like isn't something to be embarrassed about. I have talked to my school social workers and they do give really good advice and they help me a lot. Same with like talking to my parents. I feel like everyone nowadays is so like invested in friends, social media and everything. They don't really spend that much quality time with their parents anymore. And it's like you're not gonna be in high school forever, you're not gonna be in middle school forever,
Yeah.
and like you're not gonna be this free forever because in the future you'll get a job, be busy and stuff, and you might even like move out of state and stuff. So I would like spend the time, like spend your time wisely, especially when you still have it.
Definitely. And also, yes, don't take your counselors for granted. It's a little difficult to open up for sure, and it's a little like some people feel embarrassed, but don't be. You're taking charge of your problems and actually conquering them. So I think that's a really good sign and you should be proud of yourself. So definitely talk to someone about it, and also, yeah, like definitely talk to your parents about it. And if it needs to, like bring it up to your parents. And also definitely like if you have a sibling or something, talk to them. It's really important to talk. Don't bottle up your issues. It's important to talk to someone about it. And I like to think every problem has a solution. You just haven't found it yet. So it's really important to actually like don't bottle up your feelings and just say this is incurable because it's not. Like everything will get better eventually, and it's just all a matter of time of figuring out how to.
I feel like high school and middle school are very similar and very different in their own ways. What is like a challenge you think transitioning from middle school to high school?
Going into middle school, I was much more excited than nervous. I wasn't nervous at all. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I was so excited because it was like when you're younger, you're not. I think the biggest like difference is your age, because you're going into high school. You're like what 14 going into high school. I think I was like 14, and going into middle school, you're so much younger. You don't have any like cares in the world. So when you have that sense of like when you grow up, you start having more insecurities, which is normal, and then those like insecurities start transitioning into a little bit of fears. So I think those were the big differences between them. And it's just crazy to think I was so excited to go into middle school, but in high school compared, I was a little bit more nervous and a little bit scared. but that was like my biggest transitioning like difference. But both of them at the same time, you're going into a new building, so if that gives you like a little bit more calmness, both of them are the same thing, just different times and different ages. It's like the same thing. You're going into a new building and you're gonna learn new things.
So after high school is college, and you're almost going to college. After next year, you're going to graduate. Are you like excited, nervous?
I'm really excited. I'm so like I'm not over high school, but I'm in 11th grade. I've done this for 3 years. Like my time is like almost done, which is like fun to think about. And I'm really excited about my career. I've always had this dream to be a nurse, and I'm really excited for that. And I'm just feeling super excited. It's a big change, and that's a little like, oh my god, I'm like growing up, but it's really exciting.
What electives would you recommend?
For my career path, I'm doing nursing, so I took human systems, I took neuroscience. Neuroscience is such a good class at the high school. It's with Mr. Cavett. Like, I had Mr. Cavett. He's really nice. He's cool. I took forensics. I'm taking forensics this year, and it's really cool. You learn about, like, anthropology and, like, all that stuff. I think it's super cool. Yeah, so I like those. Those are, like, my top 3.
So academics, we all know, are important, but like community service and like other things on your transcript also matters. What are some things that we should like already start looking into that look really good on transcripts for our colleges?
Okay, so number 1, clubs, I would say. This is not in any particular order, just coming to mind, clubs.
Yeah.
There's so many clubs offered at the high school, so you shouldn't have any trouble getting into them. 2, I would get a job, because a job, like, you're balancing school with a job. It looks super good for colleges to see you're such a good, well-rounded student. 3, you could volunteer at many different places. You could volunteer at a soup kitchen. You could volunteer at a hospital. Even though, like, you might not want to do medical, it just still looks good. And you could even volunteer, like, you could call, like, let's say you're interested in business and you want to volunteer at, like, some sort of, like, business. You could call them up and be like, I want to be an intern or something, and it looks good.
Is it better to hop around hobbies or stick to one thing?
I think hop around hobbies, because it's definitely better to be well-rounded, but obviously stick with what you want to do, but it's like, I think it's fun to have hobbies, definitely.
What are some study tips you would recommend?
Just study hard and don't forget to have fun. It's still high school. Like, I'm still having fun, even though I'm really like focused on my like academics. I still go out with my friends. Like, it's just do both. Like, try to be balanced. It's a little hard, but be balanced.
What should we start doing in high school that will help us get in a good like college?
I use a lot of Quizlet, and I just take my notes and put them in a Quizlet form, and it's so much easier to study. I like bite-sized studying. I don't like overwhelming myself, so I make sure like I study for 30 minutes, take like a 5-minute break, study for another 30 minutes. So I like that, but those are my biggest tips.
Well, this has been really fun talking, but I think we're just about out of time on our podcast. Today we talked about a bunch of different tips for high school, some high school transcript, friendship advice, and like college applications and stuff. Okay, so Avalin, where can you find us?
You can find this podcast on your favorite app by searching for Herricks Studios.
That's going to do it for me, Avalin, Savannah, Jeel, and Maanya. We'll see you next time. Bye.
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 Information about the show and more can be found on Twitter and Instagram with the name @Herricks Studios. If you would like to send in questions, feedbacks, or have an idea for a topic, please check the show notes on how you can get in touch with the show.
You can find this podcast on your favorite app by searching for Herricks Studios. If you would like to leave us a review, please do so on Apple Podcasts, and we might read it on the show.
This podcast is a production of Herricks Studios with Mr. Height and the Content Creation Foundation's 8th grade elective, and SRA with Mr. Lavis and Ms. Phillips. The views and opinions expressed in these recordings do not necessarily reflect the views or position of Herricks School District.
It's great. I love going on campus.
So, like, you could like drive to like Taco Bell and like.
Yeah.
They would, oh,
I'm getting my license probably this year. So
Good. Okay. Cool.
I got my permit.